Shabbat Shalom. A couple of months ago, my son came to me and said, Abba, can you buy me a book? I said, I thought that's what Amazon was for. But he said, no, I think I'm gonna need your permission to buy this book. Because it might shock you when you get it. I said, what's the name of the book? He said, the book is called Mein Kampf. And I was shocked, to say the least. This was not on the reading list for rabbis' kids, let's just say, the summer reading list. And so, of course, I asked, why? And he answered, because I have to know our enemy. I want to know why they hate us. So I felt I had to read it first. And even though these words, imagine reading the words of an author who actually murdered your family. I'm a grandson of 4 Holocaust survivors. I knew their names. I knew what they looked like. Now I had to read his words. The book is difficult to get through. It's honestly not very well written. And I don't think that I'll be able to finish the 500-page manifesto. But I got to see the ending of the book. And I want to hand out these papers here, if I can get a volunteer just to pass them out so you could see what I'm showing to all of you. I got to see the ending of Mein Kampf when we visited Yad Vashem just a little over 2 weeks ago with our Kehillah, with our congregation. Beth is here, as are others. What you're seeing in front of you is an exhibit of seemingly normal items that are Jewish stereotypes. So you'll see a Jew of a disgusting-looking face as a smoking pipe. You'll see a shot glass with a large nose on it. You'll see a plate that people ate on with the stereotype of a Jew stealing money and being chased away by a dog, and ashtrays and figurines of 2 Jews who are plotting against Germany. And I thought to myself, where have I seen these before? Because they look so familiar. And I opened up my Instagram account, and I saw the comments on all of my Israel posts. Kill yourself. What part of a child do you find most delicious? You look like a piece of crap Jew. And as these monsters take many forms, including AIPAC, for whom the only thing more frightening than democracy being allowed to run its course is an end to the genocide and Netanyahu's wars. Now, he went on to backtrack a little bit. He said, I was quoting a 20th century Marxist philosopher, Antonio Gramsci, a thinker that I'm sure it just comes off the top of your tongue in normal life, that he said it's an intellectual thing about living in a time of monsters. Now, you could explain monsters away all you want, but everyone knows what a monster is. And that's when I remembered that line that I read months ago from Hitler's manifesto. Here it is. These exploited subjects find themselves driven down the road to poverty faster and faster. He's talking about Germany throughout time. Each court has its court Jews, as the monsters are called, who torture the people to the point of hopelessness and arrange the endless pleasures of the princes. How can anyone be surprised that these quote-unquote assets of the human race receive official honors and climb into the upper class by joining their families? They not only make nobility look ridiculous, but they actually contaminate it from the inside. I was struck by that line, court Jews. But then he calls them by their real name, court Jews in quotes. He says, they're monsters. How we contaminate society from the inside with our money, our dark money. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And yet I am still mystified by the oldest hatred in the world. This week we had a double parsha, Chukat Balak. Chukat is the story of the red heifer, this mysterious animal that purified Israel. The commentators do not understand this law, and they conclude that the true meaning is a mystery that we may never understand. And so too is the mystery of why we are hated throughout the world. Why are the same tropes being used, but just a little bit differently? Swap out Jew for Israel. You can say seemingly anything you want to say that would have gotten you canceled 5 years ago. You can also call out the bad Jews, the Zionists. And it's okay because you support the real Jews, the infinitely small number of anti-Zionist Jews in America. And I'm sorry to say to my son and to all those who are struggling with this mystery of why we have been hated throughout the ages. I don't know the answer. I don't think we're ever going to know the answer. But it brings me to the second half of the Parashat Balak. Here's a quote from the king of Moab. After he becomes alarmed by this group of freed slaves, he says, they're so numerous to me. The Torah adds the words, ki ravhu. He dreaded the Israelites. And Moab tries to rally the other kingdoms. He says to the Midianites, now this horde will lick you clean. All that is about us, he'll, as an ox licks up the grass of the field. Balak, son of Zippor, was the king of Moab at that time. And he sends messengers to a prophet named Bilam. And he says, there is a people that came out of Egypt. It hides the earth from view, and it settled next to me. Come then, put a curse upon this people for me, since they are too numerous for me. And perhaps I can defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that whomever you bless is blessed indeed, and whoever you cursed is cursed. So we see something very interesting in Balak's language. It mimics how Pharaoh speaks about the Jews, the Israelites, in chapter 1 of Exodus. He says, Hine am b'nei Yisrael rav atzum mimenu. Hear this, children of the people of Israel. There are many more and mightier in number than we are. Same words. Now, Pharaoh's tactic was to enslave the people and make them the enemy within. Now, Balak, he has a different tactic. He doesn't want to subjugate them with physical force. Rather, he's going to take a different tactic. Let's curse them with words, and that will lead to their defeat. Why? Because words create realities. And that's how a genocide begins. Dehumanize your enemy. They're not individuals, but a swarm of darkness. But the problem was that whenever the Gentile prophet would try and curse the Israelites, Bilam blessed them instead. Several times, not just once. I want to focus on one of those blessings. He says, Hen am kelavi yakum v'cha'ari yitnasa lo yishkav ad yochal teref v'dam chalalim yishteh. Here a people arises like a king of beasts, like a lion to lift itself up. It does not lie down until it eats its prey, and the blood of the slain it drinks. Okay, a bit extreme. Maybe not the best compliment for such a peace-loving people, but no worries, because the Midrash gives us an expansion of this idea. The Midrash notes a connection between Bilam's prophecy and the Shema, the words that we lie down to and rise up to. Now, the Midrash tells the story of the lion from an internal perspective. The lion is a metaphor that represents a spiritual power that arises from within us. Meaning, how does a lion get up in the morning? Is a lion just a lion, or does something have to get them up? And here's what the Midrash Tanchuma says. When they arise from their sleep, they stand like lions, eagerly seizing the recitation of the Shema and declaring the sovereignty of the Holy Blessed One. They become lions and set out their worldly affairs for commerce. If one of them encounters any obstacle, or if destructive forces come to harm one of them, they declare the sovereignty of the Holy One. It shall not lie down until it eats its prey, Bil'am said. And when it says, when we say Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, God is one, the destructive forces are consumed before them. They whisper after them, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto L'olam V'ed. Blessed be the name of the glorious kingdom forever and ever. And then they flee. And they are supported by the merit of the recitation of the Shema, from the guardians of the day to the guardians of the night. And that is why Bil'am says there is no nation. The 18 to 21-year-old serving, the stickers on every bus stop of the fallen, of the reservists in their 40s, leaving their families behind for hundreds of days, some for years, from everywhere. They were everywhere. But the true miracle I saw was not in Jerusalem. It was in the secular city of Tel Aviv, where I had never seen so many people wearing kippot. I had never seen so many kosher restaurants. And there's a reason for that. Israelis over these last 3 years have undergone a spiritual revival. They are returning to the words of our tradition. They are putting on talit and tefillin and saying the words of the Shema daily. We will never know why we're hated in this world. But honestly, that is not our problem to solve. We cannot control how we are viewed by others, but we can control how we see ourselves. When we look in the mirror, what do we see? Are we monsters or are we lions? And my answer to you is, we are not monsters, we are lions. My son hasn't read this horrible book yet. But when he does and he asks me, why do they still hate us? I think I know what I'll say. My son, I don't know why. And the truth is, it doesn't matter. But we can do something about it. We can fight back with our words and make our voices heard. And we must also listen. Say these words, if you did not already, in the morning and at night. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Remind yourself every day that you are a lion. They cursed us then. They curse us now. And still we rise. Say the Shema with pride. Be a lion. Am Yisrael Chai.